Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. We're so glad to be with you this morning, Thursday, May 7th. This is a CLP webinar, and this is the continuation of a series that we started right when the shelter-in-place order kind of took effect of problem-solving dual enrollment. As we move online. Adele, can we have the next slide, please? So thank you so much. So we have some tech announcements. You're muted when you join. We ask you to stay muted, and your video is also turned off. But you can see, if you click on the participants list, you can see all your buddies. And if you're joining by a phone and computer or tablet at the same time, there's a really great way to connect those two devices. So on your phone, you press the pound button and then your participant ID, which is available in the upper left-hand corner of your Zoom, in the little info circle. And then you press pound again, and then you will be connected. So it'll look like one logon by your name. And if you have any tech issues, please ask for help in the chat. All you have to do is write tech in capital letters, and one of our team will contact you through private message. All right, let's keep going. We have a really great team here today from CLP behind the scenes. So I'm Naomi Castro. We also have Amanda Isa, Sherry Shojai, and Eder Flores, and they're making things happen all over the place. So this webinar series, you know, a lot of practitioners were contacting us right when this crisis happened, and saying, we need help. The high schools are closing face-to-face, the colleges are closing face-to-face, and we asked folks what the main issues were that they were having trouble with, and it was access for students and for instructors, familiarity with the online platforms, communication with students, with high school partners, with college partners, support services, and then some big picture questions like, you know, what does this mean for the future of dual enrollment going forward? How do we ensure that students who are the least resourced don't fall off during this time and are supported? And then finally, are there any opportunities in this unusual time that we might be able to take advantage of, or, you know, figure some things out? Go ahead, next slide, please, Eder. We have a repository of all the past webinars. So you can, Amanda's gonna, or Sherry is gonna drop those in the chat. So you'll be able to access those. And we're also gonna send out an email after the event that has the link to all the past recordings, presentations, and links from our partners. Right, and then on the next slide, you'll see we've got some protocols for these webinar series. So if you have a specific question for our featured college today, who's Glendale College, go ahead and type in capital letters Glendale, and then type your question in. If you have a general question, just go ahead and type in general. And then if you have an idea or an approach that you'd like to share, type in idea and then the question. And again, if you're having any tech issues, go ahead and type in tech, and someone will contact you through private message. We have a few updates this morning. A continuing update is folks are probably familiar with the excused withdrawal extension, right? So your college has specific ways of implementing that, but basically there's almost blanket use of excused withdrawal. So if students do need to stop out during this time, they won't be penalized for it. There's a temporary suspension of the pass no pass regulation. So students can elect to take a class for a pass or no pass up until much later than they're normally able to. And again, there's college specific implementation of that. CLP wrote up some learnings from a think tank we did with college practitioners about creating an online K-12 form or dual enrollment form. So we have a nice write-up about that, and we can link that also in the chat. And during this time too, wow, OEI has really been an amazing resource for folks. We also have a link to OEI's webpage, and they have resources for instructors, for students. If you're new to using Canvas, they have all kinds of great things for you there. And yeah, it's just a fantastic page. And their events page in particular is really wonderful, including they have drop-in hours for instructors. So if you're struggling, if you're a community college instructor and you're struggling with, you know, or you just want some support in using some online tools, they have drop-in hours for you. And finally, we also wanted to share an article from the Public Policy Institute of California. They wrote an article on changing admissions in this time for CSU and UC that has a lot of important information in there about changing deadlines and the application process, the temporary suspension of standardized tests, all kinds of great stuff. So check that out when you get a chance. We'd also like to point you to on the next slide to the Chancellor's Office website. You can find all of these different updates and temporary lifting of restrictions or changing restrictions on their website. So you go to the Chancellor's Office website and you see that big red bar at the top. Well, if you press that and we go on to the next slide, you'll see that it takes you to a spot where you can sign up for COVID updates. And yeah, you can sign up for those. You'll be on their mailing list. And it's really important information. And they have two lists that they send out to. They send out updates from the Chancellor's Office and from the state, as well as one that's kind of updated news articles. If we can have, let's see, if we can move on to a couple more slides ahead to slide 11, please. One more. Yeah, whoop, back one. So what you guys may or may not know, depending on your familiarity with Zoom, is sometimes you press a button and it'll speed ahead, but there is on top of it and making things happen for us. We appreciate that. CLP also put together a curated repository of resources that we thought were particularly helpful for dual enrollment practitioners. So we also have that on our website, and it will also be linked in the chat. And today we're doing something a little bit different. We have one featured college, which we're really, really excited about. And then we're going to have some crowdsourcing. So we're going to actually move later on into breakout rooms, and we'll give some more instructions then. But just to give you a little bit of a heads up, after our presentation this morning, we will be moving to breakout rooms. So whatever you might need to do to get ready for that, just mentally prepare for it. But today we're super excited to have Meg Chil-Kevorkian, who is a longtime colleague in the dual enrollment world. She's a program manager at Glendale Community College, and she's going to be sharing with us their approaches to fall recruitment and all of the kinds of things that touches. I know that that's a big concern of folks right now. How are we going to recruit for the fall? We're a little bit worried. Our normal channels of like going physically to our high school and talking to classes and meeting with counselors aren't available to us. So it's a new time. So Meg, go ahead and take it away, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I want to start off by giving everyone a little bit of a background on what we've done with dual enrollment. So 5 years ago, we started our dual enrollment program at Glendale College. It began because our team went to a conference, and Naomi was actually at that conference, and we had these great examples of what was happening in the state of California with dual enrollment, all these great opportunities for students to take college classes before they graduated high school. And so on our way back, our team put together a rough draft of a plan, and we started with our inaugural semester, 3 classes 40 students, and that was 5 years ago. The spring 2020 semester, we had 26 class offerings with close to 600 students enrolled, and we're just so excited. It was our biggest spring semester that we've ever had for dual enrollment. When we compared last spring to spring 2020, we saw about a 70% increase in enrollment, and that had a lot of different factors to it, including some of the items I'll share with you all regarding how we recruited. Our dual enrollment program is housed within our outreach department on the student services side of the house, just to give perspective. And our student services cluster of outreach, dual enrollment, and the Welcome Center are all within the area I supervise. So it's been great to really get creative and figure out how we can weave some of the support programs together. Instead of reinventing the wheel, we've been really relying on our campus partners, whether that means marketing or admissions or our counseling team, in order to be able to serve the students. So as soon as we moved to the remote environment, our first item that we really was a priority for us was to check in with our enrolled students. So all the students that had enrolled in spring 2020 were students that were called individually. So between myself, our dean, and our dual enrollment counselor, Martha Cuevas, who's actually in on the webinar, we contacted all the students to just make sure that they had access to our online learning platform, which is Canvas. We wanted to make sure they had access to technology. We were checking out laptops, and so were the K through 12 districts. So we wanted to make sure students were aware that they could check out laptops if they didn't have technology available at home. And we wanted to also ensure students had access to Wi-Fi. So I'm very happy we took that as our first step, and that was a priority for us, because right now when we look at our retention of students, we have only about 20 students who have dropped. That also includes the EWs. So we had a really high retention rate of the students in the process of moving to remote learning for dual enrollment. So now looking forward, what our plan is for the fall semester is to identify outreach opportunities online and reach students, parents, and counselors online. So here's what we first did. We identified our audience. Who were we communicating with in person? We were communicating with students, parents, counselors. And once we identified our audience, we tried to brainstorm and figure out new ways of reaching our students, parents, and counselors. We wanted to use new platforms. We are not experts in any of the new technology, including Zoom or any of the updating websites or Google. So our philosophy throughout the entire process was, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. So we just wanted to make sure we were making progress. Even if we were going to set up a Zoom meeting and have a simple presentation, great, that's what we were gonna do, and we were gonna make sure we had the essential tools to do it. We started creating platforms, including our website. We updated our website, and we probably currently update our website maybe 5-6 times a day, because there are so many changes and there's so much feedback we get from the platforms we have created, that we are constantly updating our communication streams. We use Zoom as another platform for virtual settings. We've created virtual welcome centers. We've created virtual communication centers. So I will share a little bit more on that. We use Google Docs as a platform to document share and also to create task lists. We've used that as another platform to help support us in our outreach efforts. In our communication, we have been very strategic to make sure our communication is digestible and deliverable. We have moved away from the long emails that are all inclusive and have every single bullet checked off, because what we're realizing is students are not receptive to that. So we are delivering communication in smaller and digestible pieces. I also identified different technology platforms that we could use that I mentioned, for example, Zoom. And staff to also facilitate and support those platforms. So I'll dive into a few examples on the next slide. For example, with our dual enrollment students, our high school student population, our program is called Jumpstart. So we updated the website and clarified some of the steps that we have. This website used to be, it's, by the way, if anyone wants access to it, it's glendale.edu/jumpstart. We used to have 4 or 5 steps for students, and they were all steps that needed to be done in person. What we did is go back and say, how can we simplify this, and what do we need to take care of in order to simplify this? The first step, students need to apply to get an ID number. We clarify that communication on our website. And then the second step is the Jumpstart digital form. Within the first 2 weeks of being remote, we were able to move that form to the DocuSign platform. We have PeopleSoft as our database that we use in admissions. So our forms are currently being signed off on the DocuSign platform. It's a sequence of signers. The student signs, the parent signs, the counselor signs, and after the counselor signs, the form gets emailed directly to our admissions email address. And admissions is therefore able to process from there. We were able to do that, and the feedback we have received from students and parents and counselors has been positive thus far. And as we do have anything that is a hurdle, we are changing it. We have the ability to remotely change things. And on the next slide, I'll introduce you to a few other platforms that we created. We created our Counselor Cafe. The Counselor Cafe is a platform, a series of workshops for high school counselors. It's our communication platform. I was actually really inspired by what Naomi and the Career Ladders project team is doing with these seminars, and we modeled our Counselor Cafe after what we're doing here. The Counselor Cafe, each session has a topic, and we picked the topics according to what was a priority. Our first session was about supporting high school seniors as seniors were onboarding and we had registration deadlines. And as we moved forward, we assessed and we surveyed the group of counselors on what topics they wanted us to highlight, what guest speakers they wanted us to have at the workshops. So we will have our final workshop next week and wrap up some of the services that students can take advantage of. But you'll notice on our third session, we dove into concurrent enrollment, and basically our dual enrollment process and our onboarding was a priority. We took feedback from the high school counselors. We told them about summer enrollment opportunities and fall enrollment opportunities. And as there were issues that came up or challenges, we were able to take back to our Glendale College team, address those issues, and then bring an update back to the counselor. That helped us maintain our partnerships with the counselors. It helped us have clear communication and really continue to build that trust that we have with our counseling teams at the high school sites. Then something that we did pick up as through these workshops is that high schools really might not have options for summer school. And so we are now looking at our summer offerings and trying to create opportunities for dual enrollment in the summer, increase offerings. We have had a surge in enrollment from our continuing and graduating student population. So going back, we wanted to make sure we could provide additional classes for students to take. We should start enrolling next week, and we've had a great collaboration with our division chairs. They've been able to offer additional sections of classes. In addition to our Counselor Cafe, we just had our first session of iDual Hub, which is our high school student platform. It's hosted by Martha Cuevas, our dual enrollment counselor, and it was great. Our first session was yesterday. We had students who were interested in dual enrollment or students who were planning on taking classes come to the session, and we got some great questions that we took back. We have some pieces that we're going to take back to our Counselor Cafe now. I have some pieces I'm going to take back to our administration, and then I also have pieces I'm going to take back to our K through 12 partners. So we are really creating this web of communication and figuring out how to channel and address issues very quickly. In addition to the Dual Student Hub, we have our virtual college night for any student who's onboarding. This could be a student, a parent who just simply wants to learn more about opportunities at Glendale College. And we run that every Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. With these campaigns, one of the questions I want to answer is how do we reach students? Okay, so for our counselor population, we already have an existing list of counselors we work with. That's an internal list for our staff. For dual enrollment, we currently have a list of students who are enrolled. That is a marketing opportunity and an outreach opportunity. So we have taken that opportunity. I work very closely with our research and planning leaders, and I'm able to pull lists from PeopleSoft that have concurrently enrolled students tagged, and we're able to communicate with them on multiple platforms. So for example, with the Dual Hub, we have emailed the students. We will be doing a postcard campaign. All these students will be mailed a postcard to their home. And we're really strategic about the postcard too. It's not a high density text postcard. It's a simple postcard that introduces them to the mission of what we're trying to do in the Dual Hub, and also has a QR code on there that they can simply scan with their phone camera, and it will take them straight to the Zoom link. So we're trying to remove these barriers of someone finding a web address and then retyping it in another location and having access to simply saying, you want a greenie? All right, and same with the virtual college night. All these platforms have campaigns that are text campaigns, email, and mailing campaigns, which I'll talk about on the next slide. So with outreach and reaching students, we are constantly thinking outside of the box and trying to see how we can reach students in this climate and in this environment. We do have an existing list of students through our outreach department that we have met with at college fairs, at high school visits, at students who have filled out an interest card and told us that they're interested in Glendale College. We also have, and those are inclusive of our outreach contacts. We also have lists of students that are internal that I mentioned, and some K through 12 districts have an opt-in policy where they have a list of students that have opted in to receive information from K through 12. These are K through 12 students who have opted to receive information from colleges and universities. And some schools will release lists of students. So make sure to also check in as you're creating these communication platforms. Moving on from there, we have multiple communication methods through email, as I mentioned, text, phone, and mail. And when I mentioned earlier about digestible and deliverable information, I'll give you an example. We have a listserv of everyone who has applied. We filter that to all the dual enrollment students, all the students who have said, I am in high school and I'm applying to Glendale College. Once we filter that, we look at who has enrolled and who hasn't enrolled. So the students who have enrolled, we have a different approach and strategy to reach out and communicate with those students. They might be stuck on the counseling step where they need to meet with a counselor. So we will reach out to those students and say, you're almost there. Your next step is to connect with a counselor, or your next step is to come and visit us at the Dual Hub. If we have students who have already applied, they're enrolled in classes, our communication is specifically, please make sure to activate your student portal. Please make sure to complete these steps before enrollment, before classes begin. Make sure you have access to Canvas. So those are the specific communications we send to students. It takes a little bit more work on the front end to set up these campaigns, but it is what we've realized is the response rate is much higher when we do that. So as we're looking at our different student populations and moving forward, we realize some students respond better to text, but at the same time, we are aware that we cannot bombard students with multiple text messages regarding every event on campus. We need to be really strategic in our text communication. So we do have a way of filtering our texts. They need to be very intentional and very timely. If we do text too much, we realize our response rate decreases with students. So some students it's better to pick up the phone and call them. So we will also use that method. And other students really like, especially parents, they love receiving something in the mail from a college saying, join us for this college night, virtual college night we have, or join us if you're interested in taking summer classes for dual enrollment. So I think just kind of going back, our team has adopted a philosophy of that it's not about perfection, it's really just about progress. It's making progress towards reaching students. And as communicators, we are responsible for our communication to students. As an outreach team, we are responsible for our communication to students. So we cannot put one communication out that has a robust list of to-do items to students and wipe our hands clean and say we are done communicating, we have done our due diligence. Because in reality, we haven't. We have to make sure we reach students on multiple platforms, and we have to make sure our message is deliverable to them and digestible, where we can see a response rate. All right.
Oh my gosh, Meg, thank you so much. This has been like super, super intense. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about everything you're doing. We have, we have some questions from the chat. Can you clarify if these are CCAP students?
Yes, so a large portion of these students are CCAP students. Of the 26 classes that we offer at the high school sites, I want to say probably about 23, 24 of them are CCAP. We have CCAP classes that are career pathway, and also I get CCAP. So
great, thank you. Another question is why free parking if students are quote unquote attending at their high school?
So we currently we're not offering free parking, but when we were in non-remote mode, we did offer free parking for all high school students. So
and this was to encourage them to, hey, come check out the campus, come to the library, come.
Yes, and we have not only for the services, but we also have some classes that are offered at Glendale College. We do have student populations that would prefer to come to the college after school or on the weekends for classes.
Great, great. And then can you tell us a little bit more about your outreach team? How often do you meet, and how are you in communication in light of COVID?
So when we first went remote, we were meeting practically every day just to really get the skeletons together of what our plan was moving forward. At this point, we meet once a week. And in addition to our meetings, we have email communication that goes out to our team. I think at this point, several email messages a day. We have an email group that we are constantly communicating with. But as we have have put together all our platforms, we as a group meet once a week, but throughout the week, I do have individual meetings with our staff that is in charge of leading certain areas. So for example, we have our staff member who's in charge of the Virtual Welcome Center. And in the Virtual Welcome Center, we serve students on the application platform, but to fill out a new application for admission, to register for classes. So I regularly touch base with our staff member who's been the one staffing the Virtual Welcome Center, and really to get a feel for what the problems are, what the issues are, what the traffic is like. With all our services and programs, we're tracking numbers. So our staff on the Google platform, we have a sheet just for COVID-19. And one of the pages in that sheet, we track traffic every day. So and I check that, and if there is a bigger flow of students in a certain area, then that tells me how to move staff and get more support for our staff.
Okay, and so we've got one more question, and then we're going to move on to our breakout sessions. Although I think we're going to have to do some more follow-up. There's so many questions. But do you have a communication strategy for your dual enrollment faculty? Or is it another team that works with them, or how are you doing that?
Yes, we do. We have primarily we will communicate via email, and we have different campaigns also with the instructors. Prior to add drop deadlines, we will email all the instructors to let them know, the add drop deadline is approaching, so they can also make announcements to their students, and they're more aware. prior to us, as soon as actually we went remote for COVID-19, we had a webinar for our instructors to make sure they had what they needed in place. They had the tools to help the students. We worked with our instructional services team to connect them with any staff development prior to classes beginning remotely. And we just really wanted to have our finger on the pulse and know what the issues were. So if a professor did not connect with us remotely, then that was a message for us to reach out individually to the instructor and find out what they needed, because then we would have 25 students reaching out to us saying, our professor's not responding, we're trying to figure out how to do class online. So really trying to make sure we covered all our bases so we don't, we eliminate some of the issues that might be bigger issues later.
Fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we are actually, so stick around, please. We're actually going to try something new for this webinar series, and something, we've got almost 100 people online. So this is an experiment. We're actually going to put folks into breakout rooms. You will not have a facilitator in this breakout room. And we're going to ask you to discuss some approaches or ideas that you've heard of or things that you're thinking about trying in terms of fall enrollment. We also have a Google slide deck that we're going to put in the chat, and we would like everyone to go to their Google slide room as assigned by rooms. There it is right there in the chat. And to take notes there so that we kind of have a repository that we can share back with the folks on the call in a follow-up email. So to give you the official instructions, if you haven't done a Zoom room before, it looks like the Zoom is ending. It's not, I promise. So just sit tight. There will be there will be a window that pops up that says you're being invited into a breakout room. You have to press the join button or you'll be in Zoom limbo. And it also tells you what room number. So make a little note what room number you're going to be in. And then open up the chat again. The chat will close for you. Just open it up on your screen and you're going to see that breakout room slide deck. In your breakout room, you're going to have a handful of people. Choose a facilitator, a note taker, and somebody to report back real quick. And then just have a discussion and take notes on the slides. When we bring you back to the main room, we want everybody to share, or at least the reporter to share in the chat. So you could copy and paste your notes. You could just put a couple highlights. And if we have time, we'll call on a couple of breakout rooms to participate. So that was a lot of instructions. But basically, we're going to put you in a room and you're going to talk and take some notes. So go ahead there and give us a few minutes. It sometimes takes a little while depending on the speed of the internet gremlins. You will be randomly assigned to rooms. And we'll give you notice before you come back. I'll just keep giving instructions as we're waiting for the breakout rooms to start. You will be assigned to a room. You'll be randomly assigned to a room. Okay, folks, that was a little bit of a hiccup.
Now we're going into the actual room. Sorry,
it's-
it just created one large one, but we'll go back into the room. Sorry about that.
No worries, no worries.
Yeah, sorry
We're
about
all learning.
Hello?
Hi there.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello?
Hi, are we all in our break room now?
I think so.
Hi there.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
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 Hi, everybody.
So that was a bit of magic. Hi there.
Are we in a breakout room now?
I think we are.
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
looks like we are in. Wow,
Yay.
cool.
So it
What-
looks like our instructions are, we got to the breakout room. That was step one.
Yep.
Then we have to find a volunteer note taker, facilitator, and representative and discuss the prompts. So which room are we in?
I never got a notification we were being put into a breakout room,
Yeah.
so I'm assuming we are not.
We're number 6. We're number 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
number 6.
Okay.
So our question is, what approaches, ideas, and/or strategies do you want to try for the fall 2020 dual enrollment recruitment? Well, I really like that Glendale presentation, very organized and using a lot of different kind of communication strategies. So I think one thing to do would be to kind of dig into some of their strategies and start to think about how they could be, you know, operationalized.
Oh. I was going to say, I could talk. So my name's Jackie Navarez. I am a college and career pathways counselor in Elk Grove. And one of the things that we are doing with regards to our college coursework is we've created some Google form, and that's where we're having all of our counselors upload all the students' advanced ed applications, as well as our data sharing agreement consents. And so we've have this form that we're going to be able to, you know, see what students have submitted advanced ed forms to their counselor. And then we also use a program called californiacollege.edu, and that's where our students are launching their community college applications from. And so I can see on that end, you know, what students have launched applications versus the in California community colleges. So who've launched community college applications, and then I can compare it with who actually submitted advanced ed applications to our community college. And so right now I'll be able to look at, that gap. So who launched the community college applications through the California Community or californiacolleges.edu platform versus those who actually submitted an advanced education application to our counselors for a specific class in the summer. And so I can use that to be recruiting for the fall for those kids who didn't submit an advanced ed application at this point. So that's one of the things I'm going to plan to do for our fall.
Which college are you?
So I'm actually in a counselor in Elk Grove Unified School District in Northern California.
Okay.
So yeah,
Sure.
so I'm called the College and Career Pathways Counselor. So I'm in charge of, our dual enrollment, our advanced ed. We just got signed our first AB 288. So we really haven't even begun CCAP yet. But all these, so what I'm looking at is we have advanced ed is already an infrastructure. And so we're looking to expand those things right now into our CCAP and into our, other dual enrollment opportunities. Oh, it looks like I'm getting invited to breakout room 4 now.
Yeah, I'm getting invited to break room 5. So let's see.
So
dear.
I think I'm gonna
Maybe I'm just not going to accept the invitation.
Sorry, folks, just don't accept. Our screen where it looks like the breakout rooms are, it looks like you're in a different room than you are. So I think I'm going to chalk this up to a Zoom mistake and not a CLP mistake.
Okay. So we can stay where we're at?
Totally.
Okay.
I've just been taking notes. This is Linda from Career Ladders Project. So I'm going to keep typing whatever suggestions people come up with. Are we still here?
It looks like there's still some people in the breakout room. The nice thing about the californiacolleges.edu is once they launch the application through there, I can run a list of all their CCC IDs. And that's one of our challenges with getting our the data back from our community college was the data that the community colleges attaches everything to is their local community college ID. That's different than the California Community College ID, which is different from our local school ID, which is different from the state, the SSID. And so by using californiacollege.edu, I'm able to essentially, I can show the same student just in different ways. I've got their SSID that's linked to our local ID, that's linked to their CCC Apply ID, which is called their CCID, which is then linked to the community college, which is Los Rios Community College in our area, their ID. And so I'm able to track that student all the way across. And before we were having to use names of students and birth dates. And so you can imagine, even in one school site, we'll have students that have the same name. So you put us into the mix of, 10,000, community college students and trying to find that information. So that's one of the things that we've done in our district, which has been really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what folks are doing to outreach to parents. Are there any kind of approaches that you're trying?
So we did mass emails in our student information system, and we created a whole bunch of Google documents and tutorials. So we've done a lot of recordings for our students and our staff as to how to do the process, what the new processes were. The new processes with our local community college, Los Rios, we were in contact with them and they created the new processes with our input. And so, we talked to them about, doing the PDF. So it's a writable PDF. And we vetted that through our systems at our lowest level of, which is a Google Chromebook, for equity purposes. And then we utilize our student information systems email system. So that way provide equity. So that way all of our students, regardless of their access points of technology, everyone can at least have that level. And so we vetted it down to the lowest tech level.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. So it was, fortunately I have a daughter who's in college or in high school right now. So I was able to use all of her information and, process it with a real child. So.
Right. So the student journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm going to say this, the CaliforniaCollege.edu has been invaluable because our students don't pay attention to the email they receive from the CCC Apply that gives them their CCID. They don't know what it is. Our counselors, if a kid doesn't know what it is, there was no way for our counselors to know what it was. But by using CaliforniaCollege.edu, I can run the report and I can tell everybody, or show the counselors can see what the kid's CCID was. We also have what's called an affiliate relationship through CaliforniaCollege.edu, where our community college can actually look into a student's academic planner. And so if they were interested, it's really just beginning. They could go in and they could see what classes the students have taken, what are their majors, what are the colleges they've picked, what career assessments they've done, all of that, and use that for recruiting.
Wow, this is great. Jackie, great information. Would you be willing to share your email?
Yeah, I actually want to talk to you too. I sent you an email because I really am interested in what you guys are doing with the CVC OEI.
Okay.
But yeah, if you, I was going to say, do you want can I type it here? Do you want me to just type my email in here?
And I think maybe.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, that's my email.
Great. Okay, Jackie, I'll send you an email. This is Stephanie Fager. I'll send you an email.
Thank you. Yeah, because I'm a real newbie in some of this stuff. I mean, I was a high school counselor for a decade in one school district, and I've been using this platform, CaliforniaCollege.edu, for since 2011. But I don't know anyone that's using it in this way. And I also don't have the history that someone like you would in actual dual enrollment. So I'm a newbie with that world. So yeah, I would love to make your acquaintance in a little more meaningful way.
Wow, this is really meaningful right here. So great, thank you.
Thank you.
So I got a message that we were going to be returned to the main room in a minute or two. Okay.
Oh, and it looks like it happened. Yay.
Bye.
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 As folks come back in, if you could please mute, that would be helpful. Wow. Okay, cool. So that was fun. Thank you for being patient as we had some glitches there. It was very interesting. We definitely had folks assigned to a lot of different breakout rooms. And when you looked at them and the behind the scenes stuff, it looked like they were there. And in reality, like a bunch of folks were in one room. But it sounds like you had a really productive conversation. So that's exciting. So I would like to invite folks to put some notes in the chat of their conversations. And I'm also going to ask folks that were in room 6. Room 6, you were taking a lot of notes. If someone might share some highlights from room 6. I think that's
Hi.
yeah, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jackie Navarez. I'm the College and Career Pathways Counselor in actually Elk Grove Unified School District. So I'm not community college. I'm at the school site, or, district level. So I talk a lot. So that's lots of notes in there. But we in our district have a partnership with a program called CaliforniaCollege.edu, and it's coming out of the Community College Foundation's office. And so within our school district, all of our students automatically have accounts as soon as they, come into our school. And we have been piloting the last couple of years and having our students launch all their community college and their CSU applications through CaliforniaCollege.edu. With the CSU application, it pre-ports their transcript data into the application so they don't have to hand enter it. So that's a really big advantage for that function. But in the California community college world, what it does is it allows us to be able to collect our students' CCIDs. And I was saying that that's one of the challenges that we have had in years prior. We have an MOU with our local community college and being able to do some data share. But the challenge is we were using students' names and birth dates. And you can imagine how complicated that can be. Even on a school site level, you have students that have the same name. So then you put it in, 10,000 kids in a community college or whatever, and it makes it even more challenging. But this year we're going to be piloting, since our students have launched their community college applications through CaliforniaCollege.edu, we're able to, and I was going to, can I say start video since I'm talking? It'll show me. I don't know. We have the state, the SSID, and then we have our local ID, and then we have the community college CCID, and then we have our local community college ID. And so by launching it through CaliforniaCollege.edu, we actually are able to track the same kid across all those 4 identifications and make sure it's the same student. And so that's one of the things that, I'm utilizing it for, just for, that consistency. So we all know we're talking about the same student. But then as far as fall recruitment, I'm looking at the students who've launched their applications through CaliforniaCommunityColleges.edu, but have not submitted an advanced ed application into our Google form. For our counselors are uploading all of our Google forms. And so I can see what students have completed, the local advanced ed form for the community college, and compare that with the students who launched a community college application, and see, okay, so what happened, and maybe reach out to them for the fall to say, hey, I saw that you launched your community college application, but you didn't complete the advanced ed application for the summer. Let's see what we could look at in the fall to get you to take a community college class.
Jackie, thank you so much. That is really, really exciting stuff there. We also have, if we don't have your email, if you haven't signed up for the CLP on the RSVP, please drop it in the chat because we want to follow up with you. We have some other rooms. Okay, can I just say that room 7 uploaded a PDF of their notes? Is there someone from room 7 that might just give us like a 30-second highlights of what you talked about?
Hi, Naomi. It's Mallory from Cabrillo.
Hey, Mallory.
And we talked a little bit about the flow of students and how it's been impacted. The Cuesta College has seen an uptick in students who have some insecurity around what's going to happen next year. And so they're seeing a higher level of interest in dual enrollment in kind of anticipation of mitigating some of this. I shared some resources that I created, some dual enrollment Q&A slides. I had sent out a request for students to register for weekly dual enrollment workshops, and then I created a presentation based on the answers to the questions that students asked. I also created a CCC Confer an Application Instruction sheet that is an accessible document and an online process that's posted on our website. So I saved those documents as references.
Thank you so much, Mallory. And I would also invite you, if you haven't already, to upload anything you want to share into the Basecamp. So we'll talk about Basecamp in just a second, but we have a whole folder that's shared resources. So that would
Yeah,
be
I'd be happy to do
fantastic.
that.
Yes, excellent. And then if we could get a 30-second update from room 5, because you guys are like all over the chat. I can call you out because I know these folks. Michelle, can you unmute and maybe put your video on if you feel comfortable and give us like the quick highlights?
Yes,
Hey,
I'm
Michelle.
here. I'm sorry.
You are all great.
Okay. So there were a couple of us from, I think there was 5 or 6 of us, and we were talking about some low-cost ways to, Michelle Arthur with El Camino, dual enrollment coordinator. And some of the things we were talking about were, I posted maybe 3 of them in the chat. Highlights included with the looming budget cuts, what are some low-cost ways that we're going to recruit and reach out to students and parents. One of the things we were talking about were things like weekly dual enrollment info sessions, which are via Zoom, which are low cost. And other ways, more digestible. We really, all of us really praised Glendale for their succinct and powerful presentation. One of the takeaways was the digestible and deliverable text message, but not to overwhelm, but then recognizing that some of us, like myself, really like to receive mail, but with looming budget cuts, we just don't know how we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And then finally, a lot of us in the room were speaking about how dual enrollment as an alternative and a productive activity, given that many, if not all, of our summer camp plans like ShareFest, Boys and Girls Club, different themed summer camps, community education, summer camps, kids college, things like that have all been canceled because of social distancing. So we were all, yeah.
I was going to say, I'm going to stop you there.
Okay, sure.
Thank you so very
Sure.
much. And
Thank you.
this
Thank you
is
for
like the silver lining, right? Potentially is
potentially, yeah.
As we've seen with Glendale, we might see a huge uptake in dual enrollment, especially in summer. And so that, yeah, okay. That I'm going to stop proselytizing right now. Y'all know, you can see my face.
But with that,
excited.
I think people need to loosen the restrictions on 9th and 10th graders. I think they need to really be open to the possibility that 9th and 10th graders can handle rigorous instruction. And I think campus culture and philosophies and ideologies need to change. Okay, mic drop,
Yeah.
I'm out.
We agree, we agree, mic drop. So
Finger snap.
Please join us for the next webinar is going to be Thursday, May 21st. And we're going to have another focused kind of webinar there. If we can go on to the next slide. You heard me
go room 5. Go break out room 5.
You heard me talk about the you heard us talk about base camp. So in the follow-up email, we're going to make sure we let everyone know if you want to join the base camp. It's a community of practice for dual enrollment practitioners from K-12 through community college. And you have to send an email to Eder Flores. We give you those instructions in the follow-up. And with that, we're going to sign off. The recordings, the presentations, everything will be made available. Thank you all so very much. Yay, go team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.